Are you kidding me? So Liv, Nesta Archron, they just kissed! And I am so Y'all, the book is here! Aquasop is here! Oh my god. I sped through the majority of Aquawar just because I needed to read this when it got here, and it's here, and it's a chunker. It's so big, it's so beautiful. I am ready to see Nesta and her journey. For those of you who don't know, this is the 4th book in the Court of Thorns and Roses series. Now in the main series, which is a trilogy, we actually don't follow Nesta, which is the character that we're following in this book, but rather her sister Feyre, as she is the sole provider of her family, and she goes out into the woods one day to hunt, and she accidentally, not so accidentally, kills a wolf that ends up being a fae. And she is approached by this big, beastly, mysterious man by the name of Tamlin, who is somehow connected to the Spring Court, and he is to take her back to his court and claim justice over the life that she took. And once she gets there, there is this curse that she is supposed to break, but she doesn't really know what it is. It is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but it completely does its own thing starting from the 2nd book. And this one completely deviates from the main trilogy because in this one we follow Nesta, who is Feyre's older sister. She is the eldest of 3 siblings. We follow Nesta after her whole journey in book 2 and 3, where she gets thrown into a huge bathtub, also known as the Cauldron, and she comes out as something that she wasn't before, also known as Fae. And so in this book, we're gonna see her kind of explain, I'm guessing, a little bit more as to what happened inside the Cauldron, her own journey trying to embrace becoming High Fae, which is something that she has despised for years. Not only that, but also either embracing or denying completely her bond with Cassian, who is one of Rhysand's best friends and the commander of his army. He is an Illyrian, he is not Fae. So I am so freaking excited to see Nesta's journey. I know a lot of people are hating this book. I know a lot of people don't like Nesta. I love Nesta, so I am here for all of this, and I know I'm gonna cry in this book because I am just ready for Nesta to get her redemption arc. I am ready. Oh my god, I'm getting emotional already. I am ready for Cassian to be happy, and I can't wait to see some of my favorite characters again. But in this installment, I do have a few theories that I want to get out there though before we even start with the video, because I just finished Aquawar, so you better know I have theories. So first theory I have for Aquasoft: can Nesta possibly be like the goddess of death? All throughout the series, ever since Nesta came out of the Cauldron, it's always been said that she took more than what the Cauldron wanted to give. We do see that one scene when Feyre and Cassian go into the prison to talk to the Bone Carver to potentially become an ally with him for the war. But he says something along the lines of, your sister took more than what the Cauldron was willing to give. She took it by her teeth, and her power is reminiscent of my sister, because the Bone Carver, Striga, who is the Weaver, and then he has like another brother, they are all gods of death, and they predate the entirety of the making of Prythian. Like, they are older than like the world and the continent itself. And so if the Bone Carver is saying that Nesta's powers are reminiscent of his sister, which is a goddess of death, and that the wind is whispering her name, Nesta, 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 which is what he said, my thought is Nesta is most likely a goddess of death of some sort. That's one of my theories. I did get spoiled for one thing, and the one thing that I got spoiled for, I don't know when it happens. It's involving Feyre and Rhysand. If you know, you know. This is what we're doing, people. This is I repeat, this is not a drill. This is what we're doing. I'll see you guys in like, I don't know, like 30 minutes in the first sprint. We'll see. I love y'all, but I'll be back. Y'all, this freaking starts with Nesta going into the Cauldron. Are you kidding me? It's this part, once she goes into the Cauldron, and it says, she laughed as it recoiled, laughed around the mouthful of raw power she ripped out and swallowed whole, laughed at the fistfuls of eternity she shoved into her heart, her veins. The Cauldron struggled like a bird under a cat's paw. She refused to relent. Everything it had stolen from her, from Elaine, she would take from it. Wrapped in black eternity, Nesta and the cauldron twined, turning through the darkness like a newborn star. Okay, so I'm only 20 pages in, and I already have a lot to say. I've written everything down. So far, Nesta is very much displaying her self-defense mechanism, which has been the abuse of substances in order to suppress her powers. We really do see very early on how her PTSD is taking form, how it's taking flesh. And then on top of that, we got that one little part where she started pondering about her dad and how her dad died in Aqua War and how his last words were, "Get your hands off my daughter," and how he raised an entire army in order to go to them and hopefully save his daughters, and how she still has so much regret over that and how she blames herself over that. I think the way that I am looking at it right now is that Nesta definitely has like the older sister syndrome. She definitely has a lot of resentment towards Feyre and her family in general, because as the older sister, she couldn't ever take care of her siblings in the way that she probably would have wanted to, because Feyre, being the youngest, is the one that took care of everything. And again, I feel like there's a lot of resentment, which, I mean, she did say outright to Feyre in book 1. And so it's just heartbreaking, and it's heartbreaking to see how she's blaming herself over all of these things that she had absolutely no control over, like them going into the cauldron and her father dying, and she's saying how she could have prevented all of those things when in reality she really couldn't have. Alright, party people, I got some updates for y'all. Got to page 122 of Akosoft, so about this much read. Rhys telling Nesta, "Sit down and listen," and you gonna shut up. I'm not gonna lie, that was hot. I highlighted this part right here towards like the bottom of the page where it said things happened to her. And I think one thing that Nesta really needs to learn in this book is that things just happen. They just do things out of their own free will because they choose to, whatever the intention or the motivation is behind it, and you as a human being decide how much power that holds over you. And I think Nesta definitely needs to learn that throughout the entirety of the book, because she is so in her head that it's very difficult for her to see past what she is feeling. I also am seeing a lot of moments where Cassian is more so internalizing all of this and just thinking about how traumatic the events under the mountain were for him, like on the flip side of it, of seeing his best friend being captured and how that weighs so heavy in Cass's conscience. It's heartbreaking to see that, because you can tell how fiercely protective he is of his friends and his family. We have also seen a lot of mention so far in that one scene where Cassian, as a courtier, he goes to meet with Lucian and Jurian and Vasa, who are all like living together. They have like their own little alliance, and Aerys is helping them. And we get a lot of talk, like political war talk, about how Valahan, who is one of the regents that allied with Hybern in Aqua War, there's talk of them possibly allying with the Human Queens. If we remember correctly, what they did in Aqua War to stop Valahan and I think it was Montessori, I can't remember the names of the lands, but what they did for them to not ally with Hybern was that they turned and they pit them against each other so they wouldn't pay attention to Hybern or to Prythian. So I don't doubt that Valahan allying with the Human Queens is just gonna be them getting revenge on these people for messing with them. Also, Nesta is kind of infuriating at times, especially in those scenes with Cassian, because you can tell that she is definitely pining over Cassian, and she is remembering those moments in Aqua War right by the end when the war is happening and she is trying to save him from the King of Hybern, almost not only yearning for that relationship but also yearning for what she used to be, because she's repeatedly said, "I was that person and I don't know how to go back to that person anymore." And so in a way, even though Nesta is not being the nicest of people right now, she is self-aware, and I think that even adds another level of complexity to her character, that she is aware and perhaps she does want to be rude, perhaps she doesn't want to be rude, but for me it's more a choice to hide her emotions and protect herself from further damage, and that's why she chooses to be that way, but she knows it's not the right call to make either. And we definitely see that in that first training session where she doesn't want to train and she literally defies Cassian in front of all the Illyrians, which I definitely was pissed off at that, especially because we know from previous books that Lord Devlon, he works very closely with Cass, but he doesn't necessarily have any respect for Cass is exactly that. He holds no respect for him, and so he will try to undermine him and his authority any chance he gets. And Nesta, it's only making that worse because she is literally undermining him too. I also found it really interesting when they were talking about the queens and how partnering with Koshi, who is the bone carver and the weaver's brother, and he is currently imprisoned, but he is working with Bryolin. A lot of similarities are being drawn between him and Nesta's power. I am convinced Nesta is gonna be a goddess of death. I'm calling it right now. And Eris, don't even get me started. Like, the apple doesn't really fall far from the tree. Eris telling Cassian, stick to what you know because you don't know how to rule. I was ready to throw hands with this motherfucker because I'm not messing with you. Ain't nobody gonna mess with Cassian, okay? We're protecting Cassian at all costs in this book. We got foreshadowing to a face and baby. This was in page 94, and I mean, I already know this happens. I already know she gonna get preggers. That's what I spoiled myself for. I think I haven't spoken today for the vlog, but hi, it's the next day. I've been reading for a while now. I think I have read like not that many pages, probably like 20, but we just got two cute moments that I was just fangirling over. Nesta and Cassian's first training session. I freaking loved it so much, like their bargain. That tattoo on the back must be HOT, but he said something about the tattoo resembling like a sun with like spikes. So I'm over here wondering if the cover for the book is somehow a part of like the bargain tattoo. Maybe it's unrelated and I don't even know it yet. We'll end up seeing once we get there, once it's explained. We also just got this really great moment where we see that kindness that Nesta has to give show, and it's when she's in the library and she's talking to Gwen, and Gwen has been telling her, oh, I was meant to bring the Priestess volume 7 and I instead took volume 8 because I couldn't find volume 7. She's gonna kill me. She's not gonna like it. And Nesta goes out of her way to look for volume 7 and bring it to this priestess to save Gwen and her neck. But the fact that she was willing to do that for somebody that she barely knows, I already feel a friendship forming with Gwen and Nesta, and I am more than ready for it because our girl Nesta needs some friends, y'all. She needs some friendship, and who better to do that than one of the priestesses from the library? In classic Mel fashion, it's literally been a page and I'm already back. Why is Gwen talking about alternate worlds and times and universes? Because we know, if you've read Throne of Glass, you know. Is this all gonna be connected in ACOTAR too? Like, are we somehow in a Court of Silver Falmes gonna see other SJM worlds? Possibly. Oh my god, we just got insight into the parts of the book. Gwen is talking to Nesta right after the whole universe thing, and she says, she's talking about the Valkyrie, by the way. She says they had 3 stages of training: novice, blade, and finally Valkyrie. And the first part of the book is called Novice. So you already know part 2 is gonna be called Blade, part 3 is gonna be called Valkyrie. Nesta's gonna be a Valkyrie. Y'all, I'm cracking up so much right now. I don't know why I just thought of this and I can't get it out of my mind. You know that scene in the Vampire Diaries when Catherine is being desiccated in the tomb? Every time that Nesta climbs up the stairs, I just imagine Catherine stumbling into the door for the tomb as she is desiccated. Hey, this book is smutty. Not Cassian and Nesta masturbating, thinking of each other. Like, these characters be out here doing the absolute most. I also love the freaking house. Like, the house just keeps giving Nesta smutty novels to read, and I'm kind of there for that. And the way that the house is also taking care of her, I wonder if the house is sentient or if it's somebody making that happen for her, whether that's Farah or Reese, and if somebody again is taking care of her without letting her know, or if the house is genuinely taking a liking to her, because we've seen that the house provides, but never in that way to a particular someone, rather than a unit, so it's very interesting to see that so far. We also have gotten another training session. I love the training sessions between Nesta and Cassian. There was also this one scene where Nesta had him up against the wall and they were just staring at each other, and Cassian says, "The first time I saw that look on your face, you were still human, and I nearly went to my knees before you. Your power is a song, and one I've waited a very, very long time to hear, Nesta." This just makes me even more convinced that she could be a goddess of death. She also has been called by the darkness of the library. If we remember from ACOWAR, in that darkness, in that pit, used to live Bryaxis, and Bryaxis is like the embodiment of fear itself. And now the priestess and the acolytes are wondering if what lies in that darkness is a remnant of Bryaxis' power or if it's something entirely different. But whatever it is, it's calling to Nesta. That darkness calls her name and it's beckoning her over. And we also just got the most beautiful scene with Cass explaining the blood rite and how Illyrians become warriors finally after years and years of training. I found that so beautiful because it speaks to the sense of family and brotherhood that as Rhys and Cassian have developed throughout the years. And I love this little passage here that says, "The leaders feared us and what would become. They thought the warriors or beasts would handle us if we didn't have each other to lean against. They were wrong. What they learned was that we love each other as true brothers, and there was nothing that we wouldn't do, no one we wouldn't kill to reach each other, to save each other." And he just keeps going on about how they killed their way across that mountain in order to make their way back to each other and complete the blood rite together and touch the stone at the same time. I just love them so much, and I think being in Cassian's, not his head necessarily because it is written in third person, but being in close third to Cassian just proves how much he cares about what are his brother figures, Rhys and Az, how protective he is of them, how loyal he is, and how he's willing to give anything. That's Christine talking. It's the way that I'm over here updating the vlog. I was over here talking about the blood rite, and Christine goes, "This book is so good." Wait, oh my god.
Hi, Mug.
Oh my god, we love the synchronicity. Okay, so I have a theory. You know how Nesta and Cassian have been training every single day? I really do think because Nesta has been like so vocal, I mean in her head, she's been thinking a lot about how the priestesses are defenseless and how, you know, the Illyrian women can't really train and they don't get the same amount of respect, so to call it, as the male Illyrians do. I really do think Nesta is gonna fight for the rights of women, and she is definitely gonna want all of them to train, and she is gonna like form her own little army of like women Illyrians. I'm there for it. I really want that to happen. Could you imagine like Nesta's own legion of like priestesses and acolytes and Illyrian women? That'd be freaking dope. I was right. She wants them to train. Oh my god. I'm so freaking excited about this. Okay, but like not Nesta putting up the sign for all the priestesses to sign up and nobody did. And so Cassian tells her, "Keep reaching out your hand," the same way that Moore told him to keep reaching out his hand to Nesta. They just kissed. I repeat, they just kissed. I'm turning the page. Hold up. I've got so many more updates, but Farah is pregnant. My girl is pregnant, and I think what makes this even more wholesome is Cassian saying to Azriel, "We're going to be uncles." They're gonna be uncles. Okay, another update, and again, I am sucking at updating right now just because I'm like reading, but we just got to the part with Nesta's powers manifest for the first time, and we get to see that they are obviously silver flames. That power is so similar to Aylin's. If you've read Throne of Glass, could it possibly be somehow the same or connected through worlds, through universes? Maybe. I was right. Her power is pure death. I think she's a goddess of death. She put the mask on. She put the mask on. I'll be back. I am officially officially 50% through with Aquasoft and we love it here. I love every second of this book. We're also matching today. Hello. Good progress has been made in this chunker, in this beast. And oh my god, I still have to update you guys on so many things because I was giving you reactions yesterday, but I wasn't really updating you in a lot of things and I wrote everything down. So here we go. So I think I didn't update you guys for a good portion of the book, also known as 100 pages. I am gonna go through what I've written down so far with this book. Their mom is horrible. Let me go through the page that I annotated because I was just in shock that her mom even said this in the first place. Elaine is pleasant to look at, but she has no ambition. She does not dream beyond her garden and pretty clothes. She will be an asset on the marriage market for us one day, if that beauty holds. But it will be our own maneuverings, Nesta, not hers, that win us and advantages match. Nesta is just regurgitating everything that her mother has told her. I know a lot of people are not gonna look at it this way, but if you see at everything that Nesta has told Elaine and Feyre and everything that she has aggressively told people, it's exactly what her mother has told her in the past when she was younger. Nesta is literally been conditioned by her mother since she was young to be this person, and she literally confirms that in the book, that she was raised to be this wolf, this protector to her sisters, this verbal beast, and she has never been anything but that. I do not like their mom, and their mom is not even on the picture anymore. And then we have this one scene with Nesta and Elaine in the library, and that scene I think is the epitome of Nesta's hurt. The fact that she'd be so willing to verbally attack Elaine like that just shows you how deep rooted Nesta's pain is and how unhappy she is with herself, that there is nothing left to do in her mind but to lash at other people and make them suffer with her too. And again, it's not the right approach. It's not excusable what she's doing because she's doing it to the people that love her. But again, she is so deep in her hurt that she can't see past it, because if we know anything about Nesta, is how unwilling Nesta is to hurt Elaine. And in that scene, she does the exact opposite. It just broke my heart. It just hurts my heart to see Nesta like this overall, because the potential that Nesta has as a character, as a sister, is so big, but she does not want to own up to that potential because she is scared of being anything other than what she has been for 25 years. I am also loving every single moment where Cassian is calling Rhys out. The amount of times that he's told Rhys, shut up, or calm the fuck down, Rhys, sit down, boy. I freaking love it. The fact that Cassian is so comfortable with Rhysand. Again, 500 years of friendship, I'd expect nothing less, but it just shows how comfortable they are with each other in calling each other out on their BS, no matter who's in the room, no matter who's talking, no matter what situation it is. I am also loving all of those scenes, and again, some people may find that repetitive, but all of those scenes with the stairwell, with Nesta trying to climb down the 10,000 steps, because to me, the stairs are a physical representation of Nesta's trauma and everything that she needs to overcome. And I am absolutely sure Nesta is never gonna go down those 10,000 steps until she is completely healed. And I love that we have a physical representation of everything that's happening internally, because it's not easy. We see Nesta go down that first time and her throwing up. We see her go down that second time and putting the handprint on the wall. We see her go down a third time and giving up. We see her stare at the stairs and not wanting to go down. And so again, it's kind of like that physical representation of that barrier that her trauma represents right now in her life. And I cannot wait for that moment where she finally makes it down the 10,000 steps. And my theory, she is only gonna make it down those 10,000 steps when there is an emergency that she needs to tend to, and Nesta is going to risk absolutely everything to go down that stairwell in order to get to where she needs to be. This also broke my freaking heart. This is Nesta talking to Cassian. This is about the priestesses and the acolytes in the library, and she says, some of them have been here for hundreds of years and still haven't been able to come back from what they endured. So what hope do I have? And then Cassian, the next page, responds, whatever you need to throw at me, I can take it. I won't break. These two are going to develop probably my favorite relationship ever, and I know I'm going to sob my eyes out the moment that Nesta realizes that her trauma has finally not necessarily been fully conquered, but that she is making her way towards it being conquered. I really do think Gwyn could also be set up as a love interest for Asriel, but whatever ends up happening with these two gals, I just need to know what's gonna happen with my man's Asriel, because he also deserves the world. He also deserves happiness. Kinda dumb, but Brylan really just wants the cauldron for her youth. Talk about vain. Talk about a useless villain. I really do feel like Brylan's gonna get killed off by Crochet, and she's gonna get killed off, and she not gonna get her youth, because that's just a dumb reason to be bad. Like, oh my god, the cauldron took my youth away, so I'm gonna look for it to give me my youth back. Just seems like a dumb reason to be a villain, in my opinion. We also finally have found out what the cover is. I thought it was gonna be something related to the bargain tattoo that they both have. We finally find out that the mask is one of 3 objects that the cauldron made that Brylan is looking for in order to locate the cauldron, and one of them is the mask, which has the ability to bring people back from the dead, to raise an army of the dead and command them as they wish. What really shocked me too was Elaine trying to volunteer to look for the dread trove. I was not expecting Elaine to grow a backbone out of a sudden, and I've always been a very big advocate for Elaine doesn't really have a personality besides tending to her garden. This line that follows, that is said by Miss Nesta. It says, "Maybe you'll become interesting at last, Elaine." And was I mad that Nesta was lashing out at Elaine after her volunteering? Yes, I was. But also, where's the lie? Maybe that will finally make Elaine interesting, because our girl Elaine, you know, you're cool. You're trying to volunteer. You're trying to own up to something. You know, getting outside of your comfort zone in your garden. Great. I love the fact that she stepped up in Aqua War with killing the King of Hybern. That's fantastic. Also, I found it really, really interesting that Nesta agreed to look for the cauldron after staring at Feyre and her pregnant belly, which is not even showing. It's just like the baby's there. Protective Nesta at last. I think by the end of this book, we are truly gonna see Nesta and Feyre have a good sisterly bond, hopefully, after all of the healing that needs to be done. And it will all be thanks to Feyre becoming a mother, because Nesta will feel protective over the baby. I love the fact that Nesta is building her own group of friends with Emery and with Gwen. I love them so much. And I also really like the fact that each of these individuals has had something to deal with in the past. Not only will they help each other heal and move forward in a very empowering way, but Nesta also just needs true friends, especially friends that are outside of the inner circle, because we know that she does not get along with them. She does not fit into that group, and it would really be unrealistic for Nesta to at the end be incredible friends with all of them. I just don't think that's gonna happen. So I love the fact that she is creating her own bonds, her own friendships with women, and she is trying to empower them and trying to help them cope with their trauma and hopefully overcome it too, because of the journey that she herself is going through. I love that she is also extending a hand and a help to those people, because she doesn't want to see people suffer. And I think that's part of the deep-rooted personality of Nesta. I think she cares too much and she tries to hide it. And I think her reaching out a hand to other people like the priestesses and the Illyrian women, I think is a proof of that. When they go to Orid to look for the freaking mask from the freaking cover, Nesta literally reaches out her hands and the mask comes to her hand. It comes to her, she freaking puts it on, and she feels at home with it, and she raises an army of the dead. And then when she comes out of the freaking lake, they all kneel, despairs, and she comes out looking all hot and sexy like a goddess, and she's like, ooh, look at me go with my mask. She takes it off, she collapses, Cassian is right there, and then they take her home, and everyone is so shocked that the mask came to her. Queen shit, only Nesta would do that. Only Nesta would freaking do that. Those are all the updates I have for now, all of my thoughts so far, and I need to keep on reading because my plan is to finish this book today. Look at all the tabbing, we love to see it, it's all pretty. I'm getting emotional. Hi. Hola, Gordy. But we're at the part where, for the first time, Nessa gets to practice sword fighting. And I don't know why this just made me so emotional. Her picturing the battle with Hybern and saying, never again would she be weak. Never again would she be at someone's mercy. Never again would she fail. Never again, never again. Never again. Then the chapter ends. Slowly, Nesta broke her stare from Cassian and looked to Emery and Gwen, already moving across the ring. Cassian had the wooden swords ready by the time they arrived. No fear shone in their eyes, as if they too saw what Cassian did, as if they too heard those words within Nesta's head. Never again. And never again will they be hurt. And I love that they're taking charge of their destiny and their future, and they don't want to depend on others. And I just love how empowering this journey is. What the heck? Nesta just made a magic weapon? 3? A dagger, a sword, and like something else? She can literally put her power into weapons. Can you imagine like a whole ass female army unit, which she's already said she wants to command, with magical weapons like that, and they all like resemble the old Valkyries? The possibilities, people. They are not just saying that Rhysand could be High King with these weapons. Amren is not trying to convince Rhysand to be High King. What the actual hell? I'm speechless right now. Like, what's the purpose of mentioning that if it's not gonna come to fruition? And I think it's not the first time that this is mentioned. Like, I think this has been talked about either in AquaWar, probably in AquaWar, I'm pretty sure. If this ends up happening, y'all, I'm retiring. Holy crap. Holy crap. She just made it down the stairs. She just made it down the freaking stairs. And it's because Cassian revealed that Amren voted against her knowing about the magic weapons. Sis is about to do something real dumb. I just know it. Not her walking into Varian and Amren having sex. I am scared for what's gonna happen. I feel like Nesta's gonna do something dumb to Feyre and Rhysand's gonna get mad, and I am stressed. Hold on a second. This angle is so weird. I'm so sorry. Not Rhysand telling Cassian that Nesta better get out of the city before he fucking kills her. What do I do with myself now? Oh my god, I don't even know where to start. Nesta and Cassian's journey up the mountain and his words to Nesta. I am just so happy to see her finally open up and admit everything that's weighing down on her. And at the end of that chapter, when Cassian says, "Let's begin." Okay, I had to put up my hair in a ponytail because it was just looking a hot mess, and I also needed to collect myself. I'm currently on page 509. I'm just overcome with emotions right now. I guess I just love to see Nesta get to a place where she's able to relinquish and just let go of everything that is weighing down on her. I know exactly what it feels like to just bottle everything up because you feel like you don't deserve to get help, and because you feel like you're a burden to other people, and just because you want to live with that guilt to constantly remind you of why you are the way they are and why people treat you the way they treat you. And it's such a hard thing to overcome, wanting that help instead of needing that help. I know the third part of the book is gonna be incredible because she's finally gonna see that she has been reducing herself to nothing based on what she thinks other people's perceptions over her are. I cannot wait to see the end result of Nesta, and I just love the way that Cassian gave her the sword at the end of that part, and she does the 8 sword movement and he says, "Let's begin." And it's just so significant to the third part that we're gonna get, which is gonna be let's begin that healing journey for Nesta and for her to reach what she needs to be instead of what she's wanted to be this entire time. I am ready for Nesta to finally be her best self. And I know it's still gonna take a while. We still have like 250 pages to go. And I know our girl's gonna be stubborn, but I'm just ready to see how all of that will progress. They are mates, and it's obvious to me that they are mates. Like, there's no other way this could go but them being mates. Like, I know they're gonna be mates by the end of this freaking book. That person, that monster, that beast, that god, that whatever it is that Cassian imprisoned years ago, what's his name? Lanthus? He's free. Starting from there, they found the harp, and Bridolin knows, and Mr. Lanthus almost revealed to Nesta that they are mates, and I bet you that Nesta knows, and Nesta's just fighting that bond. Cassian absolutely freaking knows that they're mates. I can't wait for them to have like a fight and him revealing that they're mates. That's gonna be a nice change of pace. So Gwyn tells Emery and Nesta that she has a gift for them, and she's making Meryl write them down as part of the Valkyrie book, and it says, "Whether the sun beats hot on their brows or freezing rain turn their bones to ice, Nesta, Emery, and Gwyneth arrived at practice every morning, ready to..." And this is about the third rebirth of the Valkyrie. And Nesta literally tears up and she says, "We're in a book." And Gwyn replies, "Our stories are worth telling." Yes, they are. Emery, Gwyn, and Nesta are having a sleepover. That is so freaking cute. Nesta just made it down the stairs. She just made it down the stairs and she did not want to go out to the city, and she climbed back up those stairs and she admitted to herself that she might be falling in love with the person that she's becoming. I'm sobbing. Oh my god, Nesta literally just knelt in front of Amren and asked for forgiveness. And then Amren told her that the house was not sentient, but rather Nesta with her power made the house, because what she needed on top of everything was a friend. And then she says, welcome to the Night Court, Nesta Archron, and I am not okay. These freaking bastards took them. They took them to the blood rites in the middle of the night, literally snatched them up. Which, by the way, they already confessed that they're mates. I mean, Cassian did in a fit of rage, like I said he would. He just did it later than I thought he would. And Nesta, being Nesta, because it's Nesta, she's still kind of denying the bond. I can't wait for the moment where she finally accepts it though. But they're gonna participate in the blood rites, and I cannot wait for them to have their Cassian, Rhys, Azriel moment where they touch the freaking stone at the same time and they find their way to each other and prove to all of the Illyrians what the Valkyries can do. I am freaking ready. I can already see where this story's going, and I don't like it. Rhys and Feyre made a freaking bargain to die together. I've lost all my brain cells. What? Why did they do that? I agree with Amren on this one. Idealistic romantic fools. Why? The worst thing is that if this were their story, I'd be all up for it. I'd be like, oh my god, that's so cute. But no, they're freaking idiots. Why did they do that? For what? What's the reason? 3 things real quick. Ataraxia means inner peace. I'm crying. 2, Nesta is sacrificing herself for her friends and killing the Illyrians. And Koschei is with Kaz and Azriel. I'm nervous. I feel like I'm nauseous. 40 pages away from finishing this book. I don't know how this is gonna wrap up. I feel like this is gonna continue to be the conflict for the next few books. I'm nervous. She just admitted Cassian is her mate, fighting freaking Bellius. Okay, that is a queen shit right there. She better kill this oh my god. She literally just said, and Nesta hissed, because my mate taught me well. Yes, he did, sis. Yes, he did. I am in distress. Cassian just plunged a dagger into his heart to save Nesta. No. These freaking idiots. Feyre is about to die and she wants them to carve the baby out of her. This is not okay. I am not okay. Nesta has the mask. Wait, Nesta has the mask. What is she gonna do? Wait, she's wearing all of them. Why is she wearing all of them? In the beginning and in the end, there was darkness and nothing more. This is the first line of the book, isn't it? Yes, it was in the prologue. Why am I sobbing? Nesta allowed herself a breath to ponder over it, stealing her mind once more. We need those things in order to appreciate the good. Some days might be more difficult than others, but I want to experience all of it. Live through all of it with them. So live, Nesta Archron. She said, I love you, Feyre. She's gonna give up her power for Feyre? She's saying Rhysand is her brother. Rhysand is kneeling for Nesta. I need to collect myself and finish this damn book, but freaking Nesta. Nesta changed her anatomy to fit an Illyrian baby for when she and Cassian have a baby. What? Not Nesta offering Cassian a stale biscuit. Only Nesta would offer Cassian a stale biscuit as their mating ceremony. Cassian just goes, are those my only 2 options? A frilly ceremony or a stale biscuit? I love them. Also, I am now so interested to see how this is all gonna go down, because now with Koschei still, you know, out there, and them having like the mask, the harp, and the crown, and Nesta barely having her powers but still having a remnant of it, and also she is connected to the mother herself, like the mother, the one who made the cauldron. The mother recognized her, still allowed her to keep some of her power. How is that gonna play out in like the last book? This is gonna be insane. And who are the next books gonna be on? Is it gonna be on like Azriel and then another one on like Elaine? Like, what is this? Like, what is gonna happen? There's gonna be another war, and this one's gonna be even tougher. It's gonna be against an old god. My camera ran out of battery, but Feyre painted Nesta holding the passive Annalius, and I am just emotional. That's how it ends. right, people, I finished the book. I threw the book and now I'm here and I don't know what else to say at this point because I feel like I've already said everything, and I also edited my video and it is currently sitting at like 39 minutes. So like I'm gonna try and keep this short and sweet as much as I can just because it's already almost like a short film, so I don't think we need to hear me rave more about this book, but I'll try again, keep this portion spoiler free for the people who still want to hear my thoughts but have yet to read the book. So here we go. I think just as a preface to my thoughts and my ultimate rating for the book, I think this book, if you hate Nesta, if you've never liked Nesta, you are probably gonna continue to dislike her in this book, and that opinion is not gonna change up until the very end if it does. I think this book was definitely interesting in the way that not only was it written but also in the way that it was delivered. This book, in comparison to the other books, was written in third person. Every other book in the series up until this one has been written in first person from Farah's point of view. The tone definitely changes. It is set to be a very adult book. Just as a preface too, the erotica, the smut in here went there. Like it really went there. So if you're not into smut, you are probably gonna dislike all of those parts that are in this book because there are plenty of them. But it definitely felt different in the voice, and the tone definitely felt more mature. It definitely felt like an exploration of characters that have been with the author for such a long time and they have grown with her, and it was time to tell certain stories that haven't been told before. With that being said, I do feel like certain characters kind of read differently to me in this book, and not that I mind it because I definitely don't. For me, in my opinion, this series should have always been written in third person. So I definitely enjoyed the way that this book was written. Those characters being Reese and Farah. Farah did read a little bit more normal to me, although it still was kind of hard to adjust myself to not being in her head. But Rhysand definitely read a little bit differently, and I think we've been conditioned for such a long time to look at Rhysand in a certain way because we have been in Farah's head, that when we're outside of it and we have a little bit more of an objective standpoint, we truly get to see kind of a more protective, ruthless side of Rhysand. In this book in particular, a Rhysand that does not know the answers for the first time, which I personally enjoyed. In this book, we obviously follow primarily Nesta. Obviously, we also follow Cassian, but this is primarily Nesta's story after the events of Highburn and that war, and after she has been reborn as High Fae, and how she now is dealing with her new lifestyle, with her new body, with her new being that she never really asked for. And we see her being at a very unhappy state with who she is and where she's at, and she has been suppressing not only her powers but also her emotions through alcohol and through sex, and so that has become kind of her self-defense mechanism for months now. I believe it's been a year since the war ended, so she has now gone into this rabbit hole dealing with what is going on in her personal life, which isn't necessarily healthy. And again, we do continue to see Nesta as we have seen her before in previous books, as the wolf, as the person who is continuously biting and being snarky at other people, and most definitely rude to other people with what would seem no reason. And I think in this book, for the first time, we finally get to break down Nesta's character and we get to understand where she's coming from. And although none of that is excusable, we do get to see the root of this problem again for the first time. But alongside that, we also get to see a side of Nesta that we have never seen before. We get to see a Nesta that at her root, at her core, she does care, and perhaps she cares a little bit too much, and that's why she's developed all of these mechanisms of defense. So she truly does care, and we see that embodied in so many different forms throughout the book, with the staircase and with the house and every single thing that she made, if you know what I mean. Throughout the book, we get to see a Nesta who does feel, and that was refreshing to see. That was beautiful to see her journey and to see exactly where she comes from and how she is a product of her upbringing. Nesta truly embodies a person who has gone through so much hurt that the only outlet that they have developed for themselves to let loose of that hatred, of that dislike, of that anger is to lash out at other people. She is the embodiment of that. And for me, this book does embody that situation, that conversation surrounding if you love someone, if you care about someone, you can't make them better. They need to wish that for themselves. They need to want to get better. It's a unique personal journey, and despite all of the outside forces trying to help a person, that is going to do nothing if the person doesn't want to help themselves. I love that Cassian, as the male lead in this book, as the love interest in this book, truly represents all of that journey, because although he is there for Nesta throughout the entirety of her arc as a character, he never forces her to do anything. He never wants to do things for her or to her. He is just there walking alongside her as she tries to figure out exactly how she feels and how she wants to overcome that. And although he does provide her certain outlets for her to, again, speed through that journey and kind of climb over that bridge, he still does that in a way that she is able to do all of that by herself and choose all of that for herself. So he was there as a support system without butting in, and I just love how supportive Cassian was throughout the entirety of this book. Also got to find out a lot more world building from Prithian. We got to see creatures that we hadn't really seen before. We got to hear about gods that we hadn't heard before. We got to see magical items and a little bit of backstory that we had never heard before. The world building that was in here, although it was not as big as other books by SJM, they are being set up to be a prominent part of future books that, again, will be in a Court of Thorns and Roses series. And also, I loved the entire Valkyrie storyline in this book. Valkyries are something that we had never heard before in the ACOTAR series. It was so beautiful, and it was, again, one of my favorite parts of this book. I love the way that Nesta found her own group of friends outside of the inner circle, and she found her support system, and she found those loyal friends who will continuously be there with her no matter what happens. And the fact that they all helped each other get past their trauma and get past everything that was weighing down on them, and they empowered each other and they lifted each other up to get to that end goal. And that journey to me was absolutely beautiful. This book was most definitely also character driven, which is why I will continuously say, if you don't like Nesta, this book's probably not gonna be for you. Or if you feel like Nesta has absolutely no chance at redemption, this book is also most likely not gonna be for you. I love the fact that it was character driven because we truly needed to understand Nesta's character, and she needed that entire arc in order to get to where she was at the end. There was plot in here, don't get me wrong, but the plot was very sprinkled on top. It wasn't really the center point in the story, and I feel very much in the way that Throne of Glass was a setup for the rest of the series and ACOTAR was a setup for the last two books. This is going to be a setup for what is to follow, and I think when that plot does bleed through, it is through Cassian's point of view. I think because Cassian has been alive for so long and he has already kind of overcome most of his obstacles when he was much younger, I think the plot is most definitely central to his storyline because it is very much political. It is much more war-based because he is the general of the Illyrian army, and through his point of view, we do get to see a lot more Azriel and Feyre and Rhysand and Amren and more, and all of these characters, the inner circle that we fell in love with in the first three books. So I think Nesta's arc in particular was so character driven that Cassian's, in a way, although it did serve Nesta's arc, it also kind of balanced out the plot section of the book, even if it wasn't the central point of the storyline, if that makes sense. There were also trigger warnings in this book. There was the mention of rape and domestic violence and the use and abuse of substances, and also the depictions of very, very difficult childbirth. So yeah, I don't even know what else to say in the spoiler-free section because I feel like I've already poured my entire heart out to the vlog. I don't even know what else to say besides I personally gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. But yeah, you guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know the vlog style was very different to what I've done before. I also know the intro is an entire ass mess, but it is what you're getting with this. I knew I was gonna be emotional. Nesta's journey just meant a lot to me personally. I just don't really want to get into it too in depth, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, give it a thumbs up and comment down below if you read the book. What did you think of it? What did you think of Nesta's arc? Like, I just need to know all of it. And if you have yet to read the book, let me know what interests you about this particular arc. Just let me know all of that down below. Let's chat in the comment section because I literally need to like unwind after this. I also need a cup of wine after this. And yeah, if you reached the end of the video, make sure to leave flame emojis down below and a mask mask emoji too, in honor of the cover and just the overall story. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe down below if you haven't already. I'm constantly uploading videos that I'm sure you do not want to miss, as well as live streaming throughout the week, doing my weekly reading sprints. And you can also follow me on all of my social medias, which are always linked down below. I have an Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, and Amazon wishlist, and a coffee. So again, you can find me on all of those links down below. And yeah, I love you guys so much, and I shall see you on the next one. Bye guys.